Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Femi.
Yeah, Mr. Adekunle, how was your day?
Good, good. How's yours?
We thank God. So, yeah, we right now we have zero view, but we are live already on YouTube. So hopefully,
Okay,
once we have a few more people join us, we'll start. Then we can add LinkedIn and Facebook.
okay.
Yes. So, how was your day?
Well, ups and downs, ups and
It's
downs.
all good.
A good we're here today.
Yes, it's all good. I
So
need to update the.
I'm guessing that the students are gonna be joining later on. Uh,
Yeah,
we
what?
share them on the. I'm guessing that the students will be joining soon. We shared on the groups already. The
Mm-hmm.
mentees.
Okay. So let's give them a few more minutes. At least it's better now that we are already on standby.
Yes.
Are you are you viewing? Are you joining the studio with your mobile?
So I'm joining with both devices actually, my mobile and my and
Yes, I can see that one is not connecting, the other one connected.
so yeah, I see that. I think mobile is connected.
Okay,
Uh,
so it's
Laptop
mobile.
is not
I
connected.
can I can see that it's very sharp. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, yeah, mobile is sharper than laptop, right?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
the camera of mobile is of course sharper.
Hmm, okay.
Okay, maybe we should get started now since we're already live. We are already 4:35 seconds, 4 minutes 36 seconds gone. So do you think we should hold on or we should get started?
Okay, so we can just talk about the industry before we go into the main gist of the
Yes,
day
and I
while we
mean
wait for the.
that's nice. Should we go live now on Facebook?
Yeah, we can go live now. I'm just gonna
So
speak
you talk so
to
you talk about the mentorship, right?
yeah, talk
So
about
we just start with
mentorship.
the conversation, right?
Yes. Let's start that.
All right, so let's go. Let me join Facebook and LinkedIn. Okay. So I think we should let's try and do a kind of a review of the last 2 months.
Okay. So last 2 months at sourcing business have been very challenging. Must say that, being that we are perhaps the one of the pioneers of something like this, an initiative as good as Africa. I'm not sure this has been done by many people before, because so over the past 2 months we have been able to reach out to thousands of Nigerians and Africans. We've been able to enroll about 700 participants into the sourcing business mentorship program, where we train them and when we upskill them, and it's been a very interesting ride. And one of the things that has been encouraging for me personally is that people that join the program are not only students or young ones without skills. many are people that actually have a day job. They are experienced folks, but they're still interested in adding value to themselves. And that for me is quite something, because it's a different thing when we have students, when we have people who are relatively in the early career stages. But now we have people who are highly experienced in the industry, but still feel that they can gain value from the program, and they have continued to stay over the past 2 months. They've been very committed to the sessions. They've been taking their assignments. They've all Many of them have come to testify that they've learned a whole lot. So for me, we are not only impacting the teeny youth in Africa. We are not only impacting the unemployable, quote unquote. We're also impacting the employable, and it shows that we have something to offer. That for me is a privilege to be part of this kind of initiative, and that for me is something to be proud of. Yes.
That's a good one. I think I was speaking with a friend a few weeks ago, and he was actually pointing out a few programs that are not captured currently on our program. We currently have 16, pathways. So, in your opinion, what do you think? Do you think the next stream we should expand the pathways, or we should stick, to the 16 pathways for now? What would you think? Because something like a program like cyber security is actually not captured, and when you mentioned that, it actually struck me because that's actually very, very vital in the digital space. So, what do you think?
Okay, so yeah, I think he is right. There are quite a number of important modules, pathways that are not captured. But what I think we should do is to take a step back, look at the 16 pathways that we have on the program today. Let's review the responses. Let's see ones that we can shuffle. But it's also not advisable to have too many pathways, and we end up not having who show interest in many of the pathways. So
Hmm.
what I think we can do for the next stream is to look at the pathways that we have, look at the responses. For instance, there's some pathways that do not have enough participants to even run a session. So those pathways, we can relegate them for a while until we get people. So more or less, we can shuffle and drop off some pathways, drop some off, while we also include the ones that are in popular demand, like cybersecurity now is a popular demand, and we need to also scale our computing model. Yes, we have a good computing model, but I think it has to be scaled up. There's so much happening in the computing space that we are not in the cloud space, pardon me, that we are not capturing. So for me, some of the things that we need to include is to expand our cloud computing curriculum, and also inculcate cybersecurity. So that, of course, I believe those two are very critical for the next stream, and we can do some sort of short reshuffling to drop the pathways that have not received a lot of
Okay, I mean that's
applications.
that's okay. That's actually okay. I think that was. I mean, I share your thoughts when we're having that conversation. Now let's look at this 3 month mentorship. When we were going to start and putting all of this plan together, for me, 3 months was like a long enough period, for somebody to actually upskill and be able to probably become professional, whatever they want to study. But it's really down on me that even though 3 months has been a long journey, there should be what I call a kind of an extended opportunity for everyone that come on this program to continue to be able to have access to resources, to assistance and all of that. What can we do to be able to sustain their growth and their learning journey, beyond the 3 months?
Okay, so we have also known from the onset that there's only so much one can learn in 3 months. As a matter of fact, at the beginning, if you recall, when we're having our strategy sessions for this mentorship program. One of the things that we said then was we might not be able to impact a whole lot in 3 months. So we require that number one, the participants are not total novices. They're not people who have zero idea. Number one. Number two, one of the things we decided to do was to have an internship program. So if you've attended the internship program and you're serious, done your assignments, you've taken the quizzes, you've submitted your projects, you've participated in the classes, then you should be able to get off with something, some tangible knowledge. And of course, there's an internship arrangement that comes after the internship program. So beyond the 3 months, I believe that the internship arrangement can also help to further solidify whatsoever skills that participants might have gained. So if you are taking 3 months for the mentorship program, you've done your homework and you've been consistent in classes. With another 3 to 6 months of internship, I feel that it's quite something. Whatsoever has been gained in the mentorship program and has been further solidified over a 3 to 6 month internship period, I think it's enough to set any serious person up for success, especially in very high demand fields such as data science, business analysis, digital marketing, which we have actually experienced a lot of turnout.
Okay. I think the news of the issue of Twitter, taken over by Musk, has been a major, topic in the news in the last 24 hours. And I actually saw
Yes.
something very interesting. Some Nigerians started talking about the fact that we need to start, promoting our own local, uh, I mean, is it social media platform? And I saw somebody put up a bid of 100 million for, is it Naira Land? And it was later
Mm.
scaled by another person to 150 million and all of that. I mean, looking at that, I mean, like 3 weeks ago, I listened to a conversation with someone I wouldn't want to mention his name. And he was talking about the fact that in another 10 years, right now we are celebrating the fact that we're having a lot of, tech companies coming up in Nigeria, in Africa, and all of that. And we are celebrating the fact that they are attracting a lot of millions of dollars. Ina said that in another 10, 15 years, that we will just wake up and realize that most of these companies belong to Americans, and Europeans,
Yes, yes.
So now, what is your thought? Because I mean, this guy came up today and he said that he would like to put up 100 million for Naira Land, and all of that. I mean, how do you respond to that really? Because I've been thinking of this stuff for months.
Okay, so I think that the ecosystem in Africa, the startup ecosystem in Africa, in Nigeria especially, is quite immature, if you ask me. So yes, some will argue by saying that there are many startups springing up with many companies. Yes, but what we should ask ourselves is, who are the financiers of these companies? Where are these startups getting funds from? Now, in the past, some 15, 10 years ago, before you raise 10 million naira for business, you will know you will know what is you know what you have done. You pitch and pitch, go to banks. But nowadays, young people in Nigeria raise millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars for the startups. Now, these are even raising money for business, raising money for startups that are not businesses yet, for ideas basically. So who are the people giving them this money? These are conglomerates. These are venture capital firms based in the US, based in Europe, based across the globe, based in China. Now, these guys also have interest. And what will happen is, over the course of the next 10, 15 years, if we are not careful, most of those Nigerian and African founders will still be founders, yeah, they will bear the title of founder, but they will not have as much stake as the financiers will have. So I think if you ask me, it boils down to a capitalist drive. That's how the world has always worked. I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, but the truth is, as long as Africa does not fund its own businesses, as long as Africa looks to America, looks to Europe funding, this will not stop happening. Now, if Africa does not fund her own businesses, if it does not form partnerships in Africa and scale businesses and build borderless systems. Now, there's this opinion that for you to go borderless, you have to collaborate with outsiders, which is fine and can collaborate, but not actually collaborating by taking funds from guys across the globe. You can collaborate with local funds, with Naira, and you can. So I think that it comes down to, like I said, the capitalist drive. And if Africa and Africa's leaders will not fund our businesses, foreigners will. And when they do, I mean, think about it. Most of the major businesses in Africa today, the big ma- manufacturing companies, have these companies are owned, are in most cases owned almost majorly by foreigners. So it comes down. That is one thing. Africa do not fund that business. The second thing is this. I think there's a shift. There's a mind shift required in Africa, in Nigeria especially. Now, there's we do not have enough orientation. We don't have enough. We're not as inclined towards building generational wealth as
Thank
Europeans and
you.
Americans are. We
That's
do not
just where I'm
train.
going.
Yes, we do not train our children. We do not train our wolves, our proteges, our mentees. We don't have that culture of building generational wealth. And you'll find out that, of course, there's this popular saying now that, the history of the world in a few sentences. Strong strong men make easy lives. Easy lives make weak people. Then make weak people bring about difficult times. Then strong men again turn difficult times to easy times and make weak people. So it's a cycle. Someone was born in abject poverty, born in difficult times, the person grows and does all that he or she can to create easier times for his or her offspring. And these are our offsprings now are born in easier times. They give birth to weak people, and those weak people create difficult times. And difficult times give birth to poor people. Those poor people now fight and struggle. So that's the history of the world. And it is truer, it is even more true in Africa. We do not build generational wealth in Africa. And I do not think that whatsoever we do, even with the fund, even if African governments fund African businesses, we do not have that in mind, then there's a problem. And let me say this before I hand over to you. Now, it's almost a no-brainer that if a business is owned by an European or American or a Chinese, it's almost a no-brainer that there will be a heir in the family, the first daughter, the first son, or someone in the family will take over. It's almost a no-brainer. A child is born to understand. A child is born into this understanding. You are born to know that. In fact, it doesn't have to be spoken. You are born and you already know that I'm going to be taking over this conglomerate, this empire, and it's like it's my own legacy. But then it's not the same in Africa. Someone spends 30, 40 years of their lives to build a business, and they have children who have no inkling whatsoever what they do in that business. They have children who have no interest, desire whatsoever to work in that business. And businesses start, businesses scale, and so I think it's something that should be tackled more from the home front. How do we train our words to build generational world? Is that we have this togetherness? Is there a unity of purpose as a family? And I think it's important for us to also consider that.
Man, it's always not pay me. when I see that history in Africa always want to repeat itself. When you look at how we have grown as a people, we have always shortchanged ourselves, and we have always think and plan and act short term. Now, there is a power we have as a people, which is the power of human power. We'll call it human power. Although we have always looked at the resource, human, the natural resource power, always negating our human power. And that human power has been put to use over the centuries by other people. What you have today is many of the South American countries that are made up of large number of blacks were people who were taken from Africa to go and work. The same thing happened, with the British. Now, look at what is going on right now. Almost all the countries in Europe, Canada, America are opening their doors for Africans who are educated, Africans who are skilled to come in. This is a conversation for tomorrow, actually, but I still feel like touching on it. And now, what I'm trying to say now is that now we are in the era of technology, and people are developing capacity, and Africa is doing very well. But what are they doing? I mean, what is African leaders? What are they doing? They generally, ignore their responsibility, and you see these developing nations are opening their doors to, to accommodate these skilled professionals in order to build and strengthen their economy. And we are not seeing that yet. We are not seeing it that is a crisis, is a major problem.
It's a crisis.
It's a major crisis, because by the time all your skilled young population are, accepted to another, continent, and you're only left with population of those who are not skilled, those who don't have what it takes to power economy, because what it takes to power economy is not natural resources, it's human resources, actually. That's why you see that many of the oil countries are not rich. Many of the gold countries that are rich in gold are not rich, and countries that don't have gold are rich in gold, because it's about human capacity. And we are still making the same mistake today. So it's really odd. It's hurting. It's really painful, honestly. And I believe that with what we are currently doing on sourcing business, God will help us. We can be able to, to blend through and see how we can, make some advantage for Africa. So, I mean,
okay,
the
so
time is 9:46.
okay, I think that
Maybe you just dive into the topic, right?
Okay, so
And
I think that I should just we have done enough chit chat. I think we should just speak a little bit. There's not much time, but we can speak a little to the topic of this. So today, I just want us to have a discussion, just like a Q&A session concerning business analysis, project management, product management. So forth. This is something that we've been talking about for very long. In the SourceIn Business Mentorship Program, we've held a number of sessions. We had a master class a couple of days ago, and we talked extensively about business analysis, and we talked significantly about projects and products. So today we'll be taking another look at business analysis, project management, product management. This is a very interesting topic for me, as you must have noticed. I'm a sucker, if you will, for business analysis, project management. As a matter of fact, I've been privileged to do to do work in the project space for some time. And we've also done business analysis in practice extensively, and I feel that it's something that we need to iron out, especially within the corporate domain in Nigeria, especially. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of misconceptions as regards the roles of business analyst, project manager, and product manager. I'm not sure we can we can cover all of this tonight, but we'll start. So business analyst is one that drives change in an organization. The business analyst is one that drives change. It drives change in organization. And that's a very big definition to ask. I know it's a very big definition, because what do you mean drive change? And what do you mean drive change? Now, who is the one responsible? He or she does the heavy lifting, drives change. And one of the reasons that it's been difficult for us to have proper business analyst roles in Nigeria and Africa is that most employers, most people in company, don't even understand what it is to be a business analyst. And I say that with all sense of responsibility, with due respect, because we do not understand what it means to do business analysis work in practice. We either have people who have done a lot of business analysis theory, who have done a lot of study, a lot of certifications, but who do not understand how these things fit into the real world. And there's something I always joke about. I always joke about it, and on a very light note. It's true, yeah, but it's a very light note. It's only in Nigeria that 95% of trainers, people who train business analysis, project management, programming, have not worked in industry. I can say to a degree of certainty that out of every 20 trainer, I mean professional trainer, maybe only one have worked extensively in industry. It's amazing. It's not amazing, but it's true. And one major drawback is people want to gain knowledge without industry experience. The truth of the matter is most of these skills, most of these certifications are supposed to be industry certifications. So it's supposed to validate what you've already done in industry. So you're not expected to be a certified project manager unless you have worked in industry, unless you work in industry. What we have in this part of the world is most of our trainers, most of the people that train business analysis, product management, and this goes into IT certifications. I did IT. I was in IT space for very long as well. This goes to IT. A lot of certifications, Cisco certifications, Juniper certifications. I was also a victim at some point. Yeah, people take certifications with zero experience. So what happens is you have a trainer who is an expert trainer who has passed all the exams, but has not really worked in industry. And because of this, it's difficult for people, of course, for people in industry to understand the intricacies of this discipline, of this analysis, and how it applies to industry, of project management, and how it happens in industry. The intricacies, the adaptations of the textbook business analysis, textbook presentation to the real world business analysis. So one of the things that we'll be doing today is to demystify the myths and to try as much as possible to make business analysis, project management, to make it make sense in the real world. So I think I've done enough of, I think I've done too much preamble already. So business analysis, I've put together a few slides. So I think I'll just dive straight into what a business analyst does. So what are the roles of the business analyst? Business analyst is one who articulates the problem. You will agree with me that articulating the problem is critical. What happens in industry in very complex systems is there's a problem. The senior guys, the top guys, there's a problem. Everybody knows there's a problem, in fact. But knowing there's a problem is not the same as articulating the problem. One of the key roles of business analyst is to articulate, to understand the problem and present it. Now, what's a problem? A problem is a need. Now, a need is a problem, yeah, but a need can also be an opportunity. So a need is either a problem or an opportunity. One of the roles of business analyst is to understand the needs, we call it needs analysis. Carry out an extensive analysis of the need and be able to present it. Now, how do you present needs? You present needs using requirements. So if there's a need and you claim to have understood the needs, you need to present these needs in requirements. So I would say that requirements is a language with which you present needs and problems. So now there's a very thin line here, and it gets interesting. Requirement is a language with which you present, you communicate needs. What do I mean by this? So the CEO of a company comes to you, Mr. Femi. So we found out that we have 400 members of staff, and the work that we get done is 70% of what another competitor gets done with 300 workforce. What are we doing wrong? Now that is it. That's the need. It's a problem. Yeah. But you agree with that problem as it is will remain forever if there's nobody to analyze the problem and to articulate it. Now, that's usually the kind of problems that the business analysts get. And before I go, let me say this. Business analysts, typically in industry, this kind of problem, this kind of need, will not, in the real world, will not land on the table of just one person. A lot of times, the team of managers, team of senior managers, or executives who do this analysis. So contrary to what many textbook business analysts, and I say this without any sense of respect. Sorry if it sounds offensive, but I'm just trying to be as factual as possible. Now, one of the things that you are led to believe if you are not paid attention to how business analysis works in industry is that there's one guy, there's one Superman, one guy or one woman who gets a problem on his desk, and you start the work of analyzing the problem, you articulate the problem, you recommend solutions. Now, these are the things that business analysts should do, but the truth in industry, that's not how it works. There are different functions performed for different duties. So yes, while we have a business analyst, it is our job majorly to coordinate those activities. The truth of the matter is all the other parts, all the other functionaries in this initiative are also doing some business analysis work. I don't. If you watched my previous videos, I've said severally that a business analyst is anyone that does business analysis work. It's not one with the title business analyst. It's anyone who does business analysis. Yeah. So I just clarified that. So when you get at the point, so we have 400 workforce, performing less than another company, 300 workforce. Okay, that's a problem. So, Mr. Femi, you are the chief business analyst for SourceIn business. How do you solve this problem? The first thing to do is to articulate the problem. You need to understand the problem. So, if you are saying they do more work, what do you mean more work? How do you define more work? Do you have the same customer base? Do you serve the same demography? Do you produce the same? Do you manufacture? The same products? Do you serve the same people? Do you have the same revenue? Do you have the same systems? Is this a system problem? Is it a process problem? Is this an efficiency problem? So there's so much to analyze. It's an efficiency problem. So you say that company B has a much better output. Okay, so how did it work? Is there a problem with the role fit? So by role fit, what I mean is, do we have a lot of workers in your company who are not suited to the job role that they are in, who were adapted? So that if someone comes into a company as a business analyst, then later the person is converted, quote unquote, into a sales specialist. So you have many of such. So now it now calls for in-depth needs analysis. Now I'm doing all of this to open of course, this is a very practical session. So I'm trying to share. I'm just trying to share practical thoughts on how these things work in the industry, how to work better. having this knowledge, understanding. Yeah, so you see that a lot of things has to be done. That's needs analysis. You need to articulate the problem. You need to come to a point where you say, okay, so the CEO said company A, company B has 300 workforce, we are 400 and they do better. You get to a point where you have a list of requirements. You understand the problem and you are saying, so what you are saying is correct in this regard. I will run an analysis and we found out that the reason that company A, company B does better is X, Y, Z. It's clear. A lot of times, by the time you articulate the problem, you'll find out the problem is nothing like what they thought it was. So let me veer off a little bit. So typically, in a business, if you want to increase profitability in the business, there are two broad ways to go about it. One way to go about it is to increase sales volume. The other way to go about it is to reduce cost of production. Now, which route to choose, cost of production, cost of service, or cost of business, which route to choose would depend on many things, number of factors. So for instance, you cannot just say you want to increase sales volume. Have you checked the market segment? The market segment is pretty much frozen or it grows at a very slow rate. So what I mean by that is if you have 1 million potential customers and you want to increase production, who are you going to sell the extra products? So that speaks to the kind of expansion that you need. Now, the question is simple. There's a problem. Mr. Femi, we want to make profit. We are not making profit. That's the need. Yeah, that's the problem. But you see, it has to be articulated to say, okay, you can't just say, let's produce more. Let's double capacity and produce more to sell to who? Who will buy. Now, is that the appropriate approach, or is it better to take the cost-cutting approach? If you're doing the cost-cutting approach, have you done your value engineering, value analysis? So you see, all of this, that's why all of these things are critical to articulate the problem. Now, when that is done, you need to now analyze the need. So you understand the problem better, you can articulate it, you analyze the needs. What are the needs? They said a need. So the analysis now is where we talk about different parts of the need, whether or not you need to increase production, whether you need to cut costs of production, whether you need to expand the market segment. In some cases, you want to increase profitability. You've cut down costs to the lowest, and you are maximizing production, or you find that you are not making profit. That you can also do is to expand the market segment. There are ways to go about that. So this is not a session on strategy, business strategy. I'm only saying that there's also of course a very heavy dose of strategy in business analysis. As a matter of fact, there's a module dedicated to strategy analysis in business analysis, because it's very important how you understand current states and define future state and all that. Now, when you've done your needs analysis, you need to now elicit and manage requirements. Manage the requirements. What do I mean by that? The business has requirements. Okay, you have solution requirements. Now you have the needs, you have proposed solutions, there are requirements to solutions. These are solutions that could solve this problem. What are the requirements that has to be met for this solution to have been delivered? You have stakeholder requirements. Stakeholder is anybody who is interested in, influenced by, or it's someone who is impacted by, who is interested in, who can influence the project. So someone who is impacted by, who is interested in, who can influence the project. So stakeholder requirements. What are the requirements that the stakeholders have to fulfill, have to meet for the solution to deliver? So you manage requirements. Now, of course, I've said this before, I will say it again. A business analyst does not implement solutions. They recommend solutions. They recommend solutions. And it's critical for us to take a step further. So you recommend solutions here, but you also need to present the solution in form of design. So we can stay on this call now and say, so there's a problem. Yeah, we've done an analysis, we've articulated the problem, we've elicited the requirement, we have solution recommendation. How do we present solutions to the recommend? That will be presented in design, in form of design. So it's easier to come to you to say, oh, boss, we've gone through, I've seen the problem, we've done some work with the team, extensive needs analysis, engaged stakeholders, we've recommended solutions. But how do you present the solutions? In form of designs. So you present solutions as design, and when you present solutions as designs, that's why it makes more sense to show like a dashboard, like a PowerPoint. Adobe and say, so this is the solution in form of design. So because the design is a usable representation of the solution. A solution is useless with no design. Whatever design that you have, so whatever solution you have in your mind, there has to be a design for it. Now, the design is not detailed enough for implementation. It's not, at that level, it's not. Yeah, but the design is detailed enough for understanding the solution. So you present your solution in the form of designs. That's important, very important. Now, going further, so I'm just touching on the key areas. Now, let me just summarize. Business analysts discover, they define, they articulate, and transform business needs into requirements. Business analysts discover, define, articulate, and transform business needs into requirements. Now, they do this before, during, and after the project. Business analyst does all of this before, during, and after the project. Now, one of the ways that you know that many of us in industry are still struggling with the understanding of business analysis is in most industries, in most organizations, what you see is the person doing the business analysis work is not, of course, the person that doesn't even bear the role of business analyst, yeah. But apart from bearing the role, the business, the company does not even understand, doesn't even know that what this person does in business analysis. What you find is you have engineers, you have scientists, you have product managers, you have project managers, you have general managers, your operations heads, admin managers, data analysts. They are all doing some sort of business analysis, but they do not know at what point they do business analysis work. Now, if you are doing this, then you are working as a business analyst at that instant. So if you are discovering, you're defining, you're articulating, and transforming business needs into requirements at any point in time, regardless of your title, you are a business analyst, sir. You're a business analyst, man. At that point, you don't have to carry the title business analyst. And this is one of this is one of the things that causes frustration. I must say this. So people take internships, so study business analysis, and they come back, they go to industry, and they're expecting to land a role. They're expecting for their employment letter to read or JD to state that they do business analysis work, but it doesn't happen. Then yet people say things like, I'm a certified business analyst, but I haven't gotten a role as a BA. Whereas they're already on a job where they do business analysis work. Whereas even on that job, they can begin to bring their skills to bear and tremendously advance their delivery, advance their efficiency with the things that they've learned. But they are waiting for a box where a business analyst. So, which is something that I try to dissuade people from every time I get the chance, and conferences like this and meetings like this, I always try to explain to people that, see, you may never get a role that business analyst. Yeah, maybe you get some countries, and it's funny, even in America and Europe, where you're referred to as a business analyst, there are times they're not even doing business analysis work. Many times you're doing data analysis work, you're doing requirements engineering work, you're doing product management work, you're doing project management work, you're doing product owner work. But then it's important for you to understand what you should be doing as business analyst. So then again, let me say this: business analysts recommend solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Now, value is very key for business analysts. We recommend solutions, but they must deliver value to stakeholders. So, what are your deliverables as a business analyst? Somebody will now, okay, so what is it that you now say you have done as a business analyst? So, deliverables primarily is recommended solutions. We have requirement documents, recommended solutions. We manage requirements from beginning to end. Now, let me jump off this point and talk about how a business analyst operates before a project, within a project, and after the project. Let me say this: business analyst is one who synthesizes requirements. It's critical that we understand this. Business analyst before the project synthesizes requirements. Ask yourself, before a project starts, who is the one who does the heavy lifting, who does the questioning, who does the interviews, who does the market research, who does the so a lot of times just say consultant. Yeah, consultant, but the consultant is doing business analysis work. So who does all of that? Who holds the workshops? I will tell you a lot of times when the people that do the heavy lifting before a company takes off, the CEO, whoever they are, they of course they are referred to as consultants at times. They call them consultants, operations analysts. Most of the time, these are the ideal business analyst MVPs, because they are the ones that build things from scratch. They understand the requirements, they elicit requirements, they synthesize requirements, they understand the problem, understand the need, do extensive strategy analysis, they recommend solutions, evaluate the solutions, they trace requirements, they track requirements, analyze requirements, validate requirements, they communicate requirements, they recommend solutions, convert this into designs. So all of these things are done before a business takes off, before anything gets done. And this is where business analysis come in, before a project. Now, within a project, how do they come in? Now, primarily, what business analysts do within a project is they track requirements. Don't forget, they are the custodians of the requirements. They have been on the project from the beginning. They recommended the solution. Don't forget, they are the owners of the solution. It was recommended by them. That gone through a lot of analysis, a lot of vetting. They now have an approved solution. Yes. So now they've handed that over to the project team, the project manager. It is now their responsibility to track requirements, to be sure that we are building as planned. We are building as planned. We're deploying as planned. Now, how are we deploying? So we plan that the solution will recommend, and we've said that, okay, for this solution to deliver the goods, to yield the best result, it has to be done in ABC way. It has to be, so let's say, for instance, that it's the software we're trying to build, and from our solution document, we've said that it has to be built with Java, and we've also said that it has to be hosted on the cloud. We also agree that, okay, if we host on the cloud, we do with Java, then it should render fast. We're saying that the UI UX should be done by an external UI UX team. We want to engage a software QC, software tester. No, we have all of this in the situation document, and we have reasons for this. This has been gone over. This has been approved. During the project, they start off with Java, and maybe the lead Java guy resigns. It happens a lot in the industry. The lead programmer resigns from the business, and they're like, "Oh boy, what do we do? The next thing, oh, this guy knows PHP. This guy knows PHP very well. He's very good. Then it comes around and they decide to use PHP. As a business analyst, it's your job to evaluate the situation and track the requirements, ensure that the requirements are not lost. Don't forget, it's all about meeting the business requirements. The business requirements, the solution requirements, the stakeholder requirements. Will this change impact negatively on the requirements? You have to track the requirement. Now, if it's an agile environment, as the solution scope changes, it's also your duty to update requirements. It's your duty to validate requirements. It's iterative. So all the things that you do, it's not something that you do once. It's not waterfall. It's iterative. It's iterative. So you do it. So you are doing all of those activities throughout the lifespan of the enterprise, not project. It's important for the business analyst to be involved within the project. Now, the project manager is primarily responsible to track. There's something we call the triple constraint in project management, or waterfall approach, triple constraints. And what are the three of them? Scope, time, and the cost. In fact, the major responsibilities of a project manager is, number one, integration. The major thing you do is integrate the very many moving parts project. That's your work. Of course, you integrate the moving parts. That's the work of project manager. Finance, sales, logistics, IT, insurance, there's the very many moving parts. Integration. That's the key role of a project manager in the waterfall arrangement. Yeah. Now, the project manager does the deep diving. So if there's a potential change in scope, the manager deep dives deep. So if you are changing the scope now, if you're dropping the Java engineers, or if you are going with PHP, how will this impact my scope? How will this impact the budget of the project? How will this impact the timeline? These are the things that the project manager will dive into. While the business analyst will go back to the drawing board and check the requirements. Have the requirements been impacted? Jesus is good.
Please, are you there? Wow, I guess we lost him. So let's give him a few minutes if you can be able to reconnect. This is actually a mentorship session for those who are taking mentorship in business analysis. We're already approaching the end of the program in the last 3 months when we started. So we decided to make some of the classes live for people on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, be able to see some of the things we are doing. And I want to use the opportunity to reach out to you that if you are interested in transitioning to remote work or developing skills in tech related aspects, whereby you can be able to attract freelancing and the remote work opportunity, you can actually register on a platform to take any of our programs. We have currently running 16 pathways, such as a digital marketing, business analysis, data science, artificial intelligence, and the rest of it. So you can visit our platform, our website, see the options available, and be able to apply for what you consider applicable to you. So let's see if Mr. Adekunle can still join us in another 5 minutes so that we can call it a day. Thank you so much for your time. Meanwhile, tomorrow we'll be starting masterclass in digital marketing. I will be using the opportunity to share some of the sections uh, live on LinkedIn uh, to share with some of young professionals who are aspiring to build career in digital marketing. We know that digital marketing is a very large subsector aspect of digital economy, and so many youths are actually leveraging the opportunity. So I'll be talking on a number of topics. I think the first class will be on business strategy. Digital marketing strategy. So we'll be looking at how to develop, digital marketing strategy for corporate organization. I'll be sharing my experience in the last 7 to 8 years. I've done this for corporate organizations, so I'll be sharing in practical how you actually do this. And I also look forward to opportunity to learn from some of you who are also, experienced in digital marketing, so that we can be able to rub minds together. We can be able to share opinions, and through it we all get better. So I actually look forward to that tomorrow. Let's do this together. Then I think we will also look one of the sessions. We also look at um, running Facebook advert like a pro. So we'll also be looking at that uh, after business strategy. After uh, digital marketing strategy, we'll also be looking at that. Then we'll also look at a LinkedIn marketing. I've done most of my uh, digital marketing business. Um, 80 to 90% of my businesses I've done on LinkedIn. And I normally tell my students that 90% of my clients as a digital marketer in the last 8 years came from LinkedIn. And I have my way around it. And I'm going to be sharing some of these strategies. Mr. Dekule, how are you?
Sorry, my device lost internet
I
connection.
get as much. So are you back now? Are you okay?
Yes, yes, I'm back. I
All right,
changed
please.
device.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I was talking about the business analyst within a project, how the business analyst and the project manager together, how they address scope change in the project. So when scope changes within the project, it's not for the business analyst to sorry, not scope change. When there's a major part of the plan had to change, like the developer decided to change the developers. It was planned that we build a platform with Java, now we want to use PHP. The primary focus of the project manager is to check the impact of all of this on the scope of work. Am I doing more work now that we're using PHP? Am I having to engage more resources? Are we spending more on staff's project team salaries? Are we spending more on data? Are we spending more on storage? Are we spending more on anything? So it's checking the scope, it's checking the cost, it's checking the time. How much longer will it take us? Do we need to get some tool for testing because this has changed? So I think that the plan is taken. But the business analyst is more focused on how this change impacts upon fulfilling the requirements, how this change impacts upon delivering the metrics that have been determined for the solution. So that's how the two of them works like within a project. But beyond the project, where the project team have already been involved, Beyond that, we need a business analyst to work post project, primarily because they need to take lessons and take learnings. Don't forget that the job of business analyst is to drive change, enterprise change. So there has been a project, there was solution recommended, and that solution has been implemented. So you want to check, does this solution, how far does this solution go in meeting the need that was identified in the first place? That is not the job of a project manager. Project manager has delivered the project as per solutions recommended. Project manager will not have end-to-end visibility from the point where the need is uncovered to the point where the business now begins to check if the need has been met. Project manager is meant to manage implementation of the solution. The business analyst that now goes to say, so this was the need, now we've implemented the solution. How much of that need has been met by the solution? It brings us to business process improvement. Now, I'm taking time to talk about. I'm taking time to talk about how business analysts work before, within, and after the project because it seems to be a gray area. A lot of people think that the business analyst, your work ends when you hand over to the project manager, and some feel, what are you doing? But what happens a lot of times, and let me say this, what happens a lot of times in practice is the project manager, the moment he or she takes over from business analyst, the project manager now begins to perform the function of a business analyst. Begins to perform, maybe partially, yeah, but because in many cases there's no business analyst attached to every unit. So once business analyst who might have a title such as an engineer or as a researcher or as an operations lead, once they hand over to the project manager, whatever comes with it, whatever business analysis tasks are required within the project, they are left to be done by the project manager. So what happens is when you're a project manager in a company, what you're doing is you're also doing business analysis work. As a matter of fact, I worked in a company some time ago, and it turned out that 80% of the time I was working of course, as a project delivery manager or consultant. 80% of the time I was doing business analysis work. 80% of the time I was doing business analysis work, and that's what all of this in the industry. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I'm doing data analysis work. I'm analyzing data. For weeks, I'm producing requirements. So this first it took some digging, took some taking a step back. So to understand all of this, that okay, so what I'm doing at this point is not actually project management work, the analysis work. So I'm saying all of this so that you get a very clear view, very clear perspective of how this works in the real world. Can we? I think our time is fast spent. I want to take pictures.
Should be what? Should be graduate. Are you
So I
saying?
take pictures, take questions. Sorry.
Wow.
I want to take questions.
I
If you
think
have any
Philip is
questions.
online, and I think he has questions for you.
Okay.
Philip,
Yes, sir.
good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm fine. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
Yes.
please.
All
So
right.
go ahead with your question, please.
My sorry, this place is dark. I'm sorry. I want to ask. Thank you for this lecture telling us the role of business analyst before, within, and after a project or after an initiative. I want to ask, does the role of business analyst, do you really need to have technical background? When I say technical background, like this core IT, because when I see some of these job applications for business analysts, I'm always scared. Like they'll be asking certain things that you should have this, you should have this, you should be able to know this. Basically, they are like all the explanation you have made, like is off the basic. Like okay, for example, non-requirement. I mean, talking about solution requirements. You're talking about the work of a business analyst is to provide to give solutions to business needs. Now, non-functional requirements, whereby you talk about more details about the requirement of an initiative or whatever. Does it require you to really have in-depth knowledge of maybe all these Java, all these programming languages, SQL, Python? Does it really require you to have deeper knowledge? That's my question. Sorry, that's because I've seen a lot of job applications, and so most of the times it looks like you are not qualified. You are not. Thank you.
Okay,
That's my question.
thank you for the question.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting question. As a matter of fact, there's of course has been a lot of arguments, a lot of opposing. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you my opinion, and judging from my own experience also. Now, the business analysis body of knowledge is BABOK, called the BABOK Guide. It's
Yes,
by
sir.
IIB. IIB is the International Institute of Business Analysis in Canada. They are the body, they're the international body, that one of the bodies that manages the business analysis profession. And they have a guide that's called the BABOK Guide, Business Analysis Body of Knowledge Guide.
Yes, sir.
Now, what's one of the basic propositions of the BABOK Guide is that you do not need to have technical expertise to work as a business analyst. As a matter of fact, you can use to work as a business analyst in any industry without technical expertise. Now, technical, of course, means that you need to have domain-specific expertise. What I mean by this is, the business analyst
Yeah.
and the bank do not need to have banking expertise. Business analyst in oil and gas, you don't need to be a chemical engineer. Business analyst in the IT or telecommunications, you mustn't be a telecom engineer. That is what the Babcock Guide proposes. And it's not only that, the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge by the PMI, Permanent Institute in the US, they also have a guide, the PMBOK, it's also a guide, like the Babcock Guide, proposes the same thing. And this is the alignment across the industry, that you do not need to have domain-specific knowledge, technical domain-specific knowledge to work as a manager, as a product manager, as a business manager. That is what the guy says. And I agree, but I only agree to some point, at some level. I'll say this. What happens in the real world, and I agree, what happens in the real world actually is that not many job roles want to, not many employers, pardon me, want to employ a business analyst or a project manager who has zero domain knowledge. Not many of them. I've employed people, I've been employed by people, I've put up job adverts, I've done this extensively over the past 15, 20 years. And I can tell you for free that not many employers would want to employ somebody for a business analyst role or a project manager role without domain expertise. I'm sure you must have seen job adverts looking for project manager in oil and gas industry, and they'll not tell you project manager, yes, but you must have worked for 10 years in oil and gas. That is not what the guide says. That's not what the discipline says. Discipline says whether or not you've worked in oil and gas or not, if you're a certified project manager, you should be able to manage it. That is what it is. But I know that, of course, people in the industry know that that is only true to some extent. And this is also one major reason that people who started out with studying for certifications, you know, many of them may have issues breaking into industry, because breaking into, if you have certifications Breaking into an industry requires some level, some sort of domain expertise, which you don't have. And it's a sad reality. And I say it's sad reality because it negates what the guide teaches. It negates what the profession stands for. If you should be able to work as business analyst in any industry, regardless of your experience. Unfortunately, that is not what obtains in the real world. I can say and I'm fairly certain, I can even say to a 70% degree of certainty that for experienced roles, to get a business analyst role, for experienced role, mark my words, you will need to have domain specific know-how. However, for entry level roles, maybe even for mid minor roles, maybe you might know, of course, you might be able to take a shot. But when it comes to very experienced roles, that's it. You're correct. You see this job advert. If I know people that have 12 certifications, some have 5 certifications, but they cannot work in industry because they need to have domain specific knowledge. I'm not talking about something that started happening today. It's always been the case. So yes, I agree with you. While it's that's a recommendation to be able to work in any industry without domain specific know-how, you also need to understand that the business, the corporate world works differently from what is portrayed, what is portrayed by the proponents of this discipline. Now, what I would say is this: if you have studied project management or business analysis and you do not have domain knowledge, I would advise that to do 2 things. Number one, begin apply to roles that are entry level stroke early career roles. So not very experienced roles. Either you do that or you take internships. So if you're a business analyst, you're certified or you've been studying business analysis and you're confident of yourself, you want to get a job, you might probably need to take some internship, work on a place as a business analyst to learn domain specific know-how. Once you get domain specific know-how, it's time for you to break into that industry from there. And I think this is the best advice I can give anybody. I've met, like I was saying earlier on the show, I've met people who have been teaching, have been training business analysts, project management for over a decade, but I've not been able to break into industry themselves. I'm talking people that have been doing this thing for over a decade. They can't break into the industry because they do not have domain specific know-how. So, and what I've always advised them to do, and some of them are broken into industry later, is to take internships, or you look for entry level roles or early career roles. So that's it. That I hope I've done justice to your question. Phil.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much. Maybe I might need to talk to you privately again. It's very important. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you have done justice to it. Yeah, I work in a financial institution, and yes, like you said, having domain knowledge. Uh, I might not. I don't really. I don't work in maybe not some of these business analysis or whatever. I work in operations. So I try as much as possible to interact with those people in that department and all that. But like you said, picking up an internship role or entry level role, I think it will really help. I think I need to talk to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate. I appreciate.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Mr. Femi, I
Thank
think
you,
our
Philip.
time is fast spent. um,
All right,
okay,
Mr. Adekunle,
yes,
can you hear
there's
me?
so much to be said. There's so much to be said, but I think we have to go now.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think
Thank
it's a good one for the part we decided to make public. If you're just joining us for the first time, you can go back to our pages to watch some of the editions we've done before now to be able to catch up with some of the topics we decided to make public. But if you want to be part of this program, the links is the page is available on the screen. You can go to SourceIn Business / mentorship, register for mentorship, whereby you can be able to learn the program of your choice, learning for the next 3 months and be able to work remotely. Thank you everyone for your time. God bless you. So Mr. Adekunle, thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
sir.
Well appreciated. All right.
Thank you, sirs. Good
Yeah.
Have a
night.
good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. You too, sirs.